This is Rating Descending.
where we watch IMDb's Worst 250 so you don't have to.
My name's Michelle. Yeah.
My name's Mashit, sorry. My name's Mashit, sorry. Shit,
My
Mashit.
name Machete. My name is Michelle St. Clair.
And I'm Abigail Ward.
And this week we watched Movie 43. A series of interconnected short films follows a washed-up producer as he pitches insane storylines featuring some of the biggest stars in Hollywood. Let's watch.
Here's what. Michelle, I have some good news.
I love good news.
I have a couple of Abigail life updates.
I like good news more than bad news.
Yeah, look, but no news is good news. So what do you say to that?
I disagree that no news is good news. No news might mean you're hiding something.
Yeah.
What are
and
you
I've got a big
hiding from
old
me?
secret for you.
What's the sequel? Share it with me.
Well, now I
in
don't
this
want to tell you because
private avenue.
apparently no news is good news. So I guess I just won't
No,
tell you.
I said the opposite.
No,
you
no,
said
fine,
no
it's
news
fine,
is good
whatever.
news. I said the opposite.
I just
I
feel
said
like
no news
if I
is
have
not
news,
good news.
I just can't say it.
No news is sometimes bad news.
Well, this is good news.
Well, then
So
tell
where does
it to
that
me.
leave us?
Tell me the good news.
Fine.
Share me your secrets in this very private forum.
Okay, man.
She doesn't know that we're recording yet.
Don't tell anybody.
I won't.
It's
okay.
a big secret.
I won't tell anybody.
Okay.
And then I'm looking at the camera. Wink.
And like there's a little sparkle in your eye when you wink
Yeah.
as well. And then your teeth also sparkle. Everything's sparkling.
And my whole face is sparkling.
one
You're
big
like,
sparkle.
God, it's kind of hard to look at.
All right, don't tell anybody, okay?
Okay.
It's just this is our little secret.
A little secret.
Yeah.
Little Michelle and Abby secret.
No, I've had a very eventful couple of weeks in that, like, my parents came down to Melbourne. They met Claude's parents, the in-laws, like, because the wedding's happening. And we also have a date for the wedding. It's going to be early March. I've started a new job to make money. And now I've really, like, sunk into the job and gotten comfortable. There's been a lot happening. But I'm not allowed to talk about anything because I've already signed a contract securing my confidentiality. But I harassed a producer for like 4 months for a meeting because I really respected and admired her. And I got a little job as a note taker, which is literally coming out of uni. My goal was to be a note taker and work my way up into a writer's table. And I didn't think I'd get a position as a note taker for many, many moons after graduating uni. But she offered it to me. It's only like a 4 or 5 day role, but it's fucking enormous. And I feel so fucking honored and
so cool.
grateful that I get to be part of the writing process, observe them and make money. And if I do a good job, hopefully come back and do it. Like my 2022 dream is to be able to start just working as a note taker and making money that way.
Hell
and
yeah.
it might be a really slow process, but that's the goal. And the fact that I have this job geared up for the beginning of next year is just astounding. I feel like I'm in the right direction and I'm actually like, it feels really hopeful. Like I feel like, yeah, I'm going to make money as a note taker, as a screenwriter eventually. And that's really exciting.
Hey, look at me. Look at me.
Yeah.
You're killing it, baby.
Thanks.
You're killing it.
Thanks.
And you don't need to be killing it to like have value and be cool, but you are.
yeah,
You're blooming.
It's a hard fucking industry to get into, especially like development work. Development work is so tough. It's all word of mouth jobs. The reason I got this is because I harassed this woman for 4 months and we just got along really well during our coffee. And
Yeah.
I feel very, very lucky. But hey, I'm killing it, but you're killing it because you just fucking edited a feature film for one of the best Australian directors.
Assistant edited.
Assistant edited. But you are part of some of the best teams in Australia for film at the moment. And it's almost bringing a tear to my eye because I feel like we moved down to Melbourne from Sydney and we're both really worried about getting jobs in the film industry.
Yeah.
But even if Melbourne has less work to offer than Sydney, the work that it offers is more inclusive. It is less of a boys' club. The people are less aggressive.
Yeah.
I think that like the industry here and the people that I've met here in the industry have been the kind of people that I want to collaborate and work with. And it makes me very happy. And it brings a tear to my eye that we're actually like going to get work in Melbourne.
Hey, this is a place of positivity and popularity and this place is a popularity contest.
This is a place for positivity and pop sticks.
One thing I never
Popsicles.
want to know is who people think the better host is.
Yeah, here's the
And
question.
then-
Here's the question. Who's the Karen and who's the Georgia?
Oh, my favorite murder terms.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because let's be honest, we listen for Karen.
Yeah, I do
Georgia's
listen for
nice
Karen.
because she's a good host, but you listen for Karen.
I think I'm the Georgia. Because Georgia knows how to run a podcast.
No, but you're also very genuinely funny, whereas Georgia, like,
thanks.
I love Georgia, but Georgia doesn't know how to tell a joke, and you know how to tell a joke.
They have different skills.
She's like the heart of it, but Karen's the soul. And Karen's there for the giggles. I remember I was having this really fucking low day a couple of weeks ago, and I listened to an episode of My Favorite Murder because it is the show I default to, and I'm like, I need to listen to Friends because I want to listen to Georgia and Karen. And they were doing this episode about how Karen has this real need to be special. And it made me feel so fucking seen and heard where she was talking about the void in her. She was like, she literally said to anyone that's listening who also has this hang up about needing to be special all the time, it's a fucking void in you and it will never be filled unless you fix that complex. And I just like burst into tears because I was like, oh my God, this is so true. But I love them.
I get that. I mean, that's part of why I like podcasts so much. Like, one of my two main I feel sad, I want comfort podcasts is How Did This Get Played? And so frequently one of the hosts, Heather Ann Campbell, will talk about like her either childhood or early 20s, and she'll talk about like feeling really lonely with no friends in a particular place and time, and then like also circle it into like the warmth you can get from interacting with other people and with art, and in the case of that podcast, games. And it just always makes me feel seen and represented in a way that I never see like a character like that on screen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, every nerd you see on screen still has like 10 friends and they're very cool. And I really love that, I don't know, human beings just want to talk into a microphone so that other people can then hear it and then go, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like My Favorite Murder, every time Karen like opens up about her past alcoholism and drug addiction issues, it feels so nice. Like I feel like they read out all these hometown messages all the time on that podcast being like, oh, like, thank you ladies for being so open and vulnerable. And that kind of like language keeps like washing off me. Like it sounds like overused jargon, but it's true. They're incredibly open and vulnerable in that podcast. They talk about the lowest of lows that they've been in. They talk about their drug and alcohol addiction issues. And as someone that has been on the precipice of like severe like drug addiction issues recently, it's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
Like it's really like comforting to hear like, oh, you're not fucked up if like it's almost like you want to feel ashamed admitting to these things, but it's like this is a really normal thing to happen.
Yeah.
It's a really normal, like, I feel like it's easy to feel ashamed about it, but when people just talk about it and you're like, oh no, you're still like a full normal person that, you know, used to be a drug addict, could currently still be a drug addict, has addiction issues, has alcohol issues. Georgia like came out recently being like, I think I've been an alcoholic for the past 5 years during this podcast, and I'm getting on top of it now. It's just so comforting. It brings like this little warmth to my heart of, oh, thank you for telling me.
We pigeonhole people as the problems they have are the entirety of their being. You are an alcoholic and just that, and you are a drug addict and or you are queer and just that, and like it's always seen as a problem to either get rid of or ignore or be ashamed of, but it's not. It's just like something you need help with or acceptance with, and we can just lean on each other and be open and communicate, and then we're all like, hey, life's a little easier when it's like fucking distributing the wealth, but we're distributing just like the knowledge that other people are in the same situation as you, and it's really nice.
100%. Like I want to say like it is still so profound how much stigma there is attached to like a lot of like these issues like drug addiction and alcohol addiction. There's so much stigma attached to it, and just hearing these very normal, friendly people talking about their own experiences with it and not trying to sugarcoat it either makes you feel like so much closer to them.
Yeah.
And I really like needed it. I feel like when I was at my like lowest of lows like 5 weeks ago, I was just
really worried about you.
Yeah, and I was just listening to My Favorite Murder like again and again, being like, I need these ladies. It was nice.
I'm really glad.
I'm definitely feeling better.
That's really good.
Thanks.
For the listeners, she cheered her coffee in the air.
Which is so much.
You're nailing it. You're killing it.
That's the theme of this opening. You're killing it.
Yeah, you're killing it. But if you are killing it, I instead want to talk about something that instead should be killed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Michelle's breaking a sweat.
Okay. We killed it. This week we watched movie 43.
Yeah.
Okay, so up front, this film almost broke the podcast for me. It's so monolithically bad, but it also like shatters the entire like format and premise of the podcast. I don't even know how to begin dealing with it.
All I want to say, this is all I'm going to say for the whole episode. I am really glad you're doing the research on this one and not me, because I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, this is a film that has like 12 short fucking films in it. How many are there?
12 plus also the framing device sketch, which is different in the US and the UK. I watched both.
Oh, wow.
There's also 2 deleted sketches, which I didn't watch.
Right. So this is a film where it has a bunch of sketches thrown into one. It's not even really a story, but like there's so many characters, there's so many actors, there's so many different stories. I have my first question to ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is it called Movie 43?
So that is, in fact, one of my pieces of trivia, but I'll tell you right now, the title of the film, Movie 43, has no meaning.
Fantastic.
It has no meaning. Peter Farrelly, who is heavily involved, and I'll get into that, heard his son talking with friends about a film called Movie 43, but when Farrelly discovered the film did not exist, he cribbed the name.
So he imagined the film's name. Like
his son was talking about something called Movie 43, and then he found out that that wasn't a real movie. So then he was like, that's funny. It's not.
It's not. Yeah, this film was just one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. It really starts with a bang when you watch Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman go on a date together, and Hugh Jackman's got a pair of testicles attached to his throat.
Yes. And
the whole gag is that no one is acknowledging it, and Kate Winslet feels like she's losing her mind. A wild start. And this whole film hinges on like really crass humor of how offensive can we make it, and how wild can we make it, and how strange can we make it, how many people can we offend in one sketch.
But at the okay, I'm gonna just start getting into the key details because I totally agree with you. But I want everyone to like, let's do a collective flashback right now to me last night watching this, like with my laptop open, heavily sweating because I'm just like looking at all of the notes, being like, how do I even begin breaking this down while watching the craziest fucking thing I've ever seen? I'm like, what the fuck do I even do? So we're gonna have to structure this a little differently.
Okay, all right, I'm ready.
So I'll get into it now.
All right. Michelle St. Clair, take it away. Michelle St. Clair. Shitty St. Clair. No, sorry, Michelle. Michelle.
My girlfriend has recently taken to describing my tits as smelly or saying that they stink. She means they smell good, which means she is using like smelly as in prominent smell. That's not how we use it, and I don't like it when she leans in and says your tits stink.
Whereas my partner, he says my tits are awesome. These are the best tits he's ever seen.
So much more clear cut.
These tits, they're magical, babe. I love you so much. And then he kisses me deeply, and then we make love for 12 hours. All right? So I don't know what's happening with you and Brooke, but me and Claude.
Maybe Claude is a lesbian, because that sounds like some mad lesbian behavior.
These are awesome.
Let's get back into it.
Let's do it.
So this came out in 2013. It was directed by Peter Farrelly, Will Graham, Steve Carr, Griffin Dunn, Stephen Brill, James Duffy, Jonathan Van Tulican, Elizabeth Banks, Brett Ratner, Rusty Cundleff, and James Gunn.
Hang on. Respectively?
What?
In order?
Yes, in order.
So Elizabeth Banks didn't direct the last one with Elizabeth Banks in it?
No. James Gunn directed that one. Elizabeth Banks directed the period one.
What?
We'll get into it. It was written by Rocky Russo, Jeremy Sisenko, Ricky Blitt, Bill O'Malley, Will Graham, Jack Kokoda, Matthew Alec Portnoy, Claes Kjellstrom, and Jonas Wittenmark, and Tobias Carlson, and Rocky Russo, and Jeremy Sisenko. That was all one of the sketches. Will Carlo, Elizabeth Wright Shapiro, Jacob Fleischer, Greg Pritikin, and James Gunn. and it was starring
Oh, Christ. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Hugh Jackman, Kate Winslet, Liev Schreiber, Naomi Watts, Jeremy Allen White, Anna Faris, Chris Pratt, JB Smoove, Kieran Culkin, Emma Stone, Richard Gere, Kate Bosworth, Jack McBrayer, Asif Mandvi, Justin Long, Jason Sudeikis, Uma Thurman, Bobby Cannavale, Kristen Bell, John Hodgman, Leslie Bibb, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Chloe Grace Moretz, Jimmy Bennett, Patrick Warburton, Matt Walsh, Gerard Butler, Johnny Knoxville, Sean William Scott, Halle Berry, Stephen Merchant, Snooki, Terrence Howard, Jay Ellis, Aaron Jennings, Eric Stewart, Elizabeth Banks, and Josh Duhamel.
Sorry, I
Also,
missed
if
that.
you're in the
Could
UK, it's also starring Mark L. Young, Adam Cagley, Devon Eash, and Fisher Stevens. But in the US, it would have, instead of those four, been starring Dennis Quaid, Greg Kinnear, Common, Will Sasso, and Seth MacFarlane.
Play it again, Sam.
No. I think it did pretty good for someone who used to have a stutter.
There was a name in that list of actors. Kate Bosworth. Who was she in it?
She was, oh Christ, pretty sure she was in the iBabe sketch.
As who?
The woman who goes like, I'm a woman and I find this offensive.
The blonde woman.
Yeah.
That was Kate Bosworth?
Apparently.
Wow. I'm thinking of, I confused her with Kate Beckinsale.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because I was like, did not look like Kate Beckinsale to me.
Also, returning actors, I will say for one thing, given how extensive that list is, less returning actors than I would have expected. And I looked every single one of them up. This is what I mean when I say the notes almost broke me. Me cross-referencing every single one of these people.
You truly didn't have to.
No, I did, for the listeners. We're contractually and legally obliged. I will get thrown into a river if I don't.
I feel like the new tagline of this should be, this is Rating Descending, where we are contractually and legally obliged. My name is Michelle St. Clair. Like, that's our fucking tagline at this point. It's just, we gotta do it, man. We just gotta do it again. We just gotta do one more episode, man. Just take it 1 week at a time.
So the returning actors, Emma Stone and Christopher Mintz-Plasse from Marmaduke, funnily enough.
Mintz-Plasse?
It's spelled M-I-T-N-Z, Mintz-P-L-A-S-S-E. So maybe it's Plasse.
Mintz-Plasse. It's like extra mints. You got mints plus.
There's also Matt Walsh, who was in The Darkness.
Oh, yeah.
And two people who have a very particular distinction. Justin Long,
yeah,
who was in Squeakquel, Chipwrecked, and Yoga Hoses.
That's his fourth time.
And Anna Faris, who was in the Squeakquel, Chipwrecked, and Yogi Bear. Both of them have the distinction of being the first people to be in 4 movies on this list. So
they're in the lead is Justin Long and Anna Faris.
And you know what? That totally tracks. Yeah. I really like Anna Faris as a person, but she's not known for being in fantastic movies.
I think I listened to an episode of her podcast because someone was on it that I found interesting. Maybe it was Why Won't You Date Me? I can't remember. It was an interview podcast. I think she was the guest. And she sounded so much more interesting and not that I didn't think she'd be interesting or smart, but I mean, like, she had like an insane gravitas to her, the way that she spoke. And I'm pretty sure they call her Anna. It's not Anna. Like, I think like she had this assistant with her and he called her Anna, and she was just like so slow, and she really she talked with a lot of thoughtfulness, and she was just like, I was like blown away by Anna Faris's Anna Faris, that's what we call her presence on that podcast. But in this movie, she asks her then husband Chris Pratt to take a shit on her. Oh, and we'll get to it. So before, quickly, the budget was $6 million and it made $32.4 million. That's not the worst turnaround that we've seen. No, it's shockingly high. Now, normally this is where I would do an overview of the whole thing. I did not know how I would, because you'd have to give like a 1-sentence summary of all the sketches. Yeah, like I'd have to basically describe every scene of the movie. Yeah, so you could just do an overview for the sketch. Well, what I thought we would do instead is go through the sketches one by one. Okay. Which I think we should do anyway to talk about them. I thought it'd be way easier than jumping around and stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'll start with the US framing device. Do you reckon start with that one or start with the actual... Or leave the framing device sketches until the end? No, start with the framing device and just do the whole framing device. Yeah, we'll do that. And then I'll end with the UK one because you didn't watch it. I didn't watch the UK one. But lucky, it's way worse. Okay. So
The whole like framing device of it is Dennis Quaid is trying to pitch his screenplay to a producer played by Greg Kinnear.
I love Greg Kinnear, but it's just because he was Richard in Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, I have the same thing where I'm like, I really like Greg Kinnear. He has a good energy. And then I'm like, I don't know if I've seen him in that many things outside
I think it's
of that
just
movie.
Little Miss Sunshine.
But, you know, like the scenes he's pitching are the sketches we're seeing. So Greg Kinnear is like, I don't want to do this. So Dennis Quaid threatens to shoot him and holds him hostage, where he then gets humiliated by his boss in front of Seth MacFarlane. And then at the end, he goes to try and shoot his boss, played by Common, who then instead pulls a gun on him, where when the squib misfires, it's revealed that they are in fact on a set and it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, it's not that he misfires, he shoots him and then the bullet things show up in him late.
The squib.
Right, so I don't think a lot of people know what that is.
Oh, okay, yeah. A squib is the plate makes it look like you've been hit by a bullet. Like it fires out the blood.
No, it's not. A squib is someone that has magical parents.
Oh my God.
But isn't magical themselves, like Filch.
We don't bring up Turf School in this podcast. I forbid it.
Turf School. Oh, I can't believe Harry Potter's ruined for you.
Yeah, it is.
Is it really? Is that why you took the posters off the wall?
It is.
Wow.
It just became harder and harder to look at them. Yeah, so it begins with that, and then every 1 to 2 sketches, it cuts back to that sort of story. I think easily one of the better sketches in it.
Yeah. Like, it's the least crass, but it's also still ridiculous. But
yeah,
it's all right.
I think it's emblematic of something that we're going to see a lot of times as we continue to go through the sketches, where the basic premise is funny, but there's always a point where the sketch takes a turn away from being funny and instead just being dumb.
My problem is that final moment where he gets shot and then it cuts away to the whole film crew around them and they're breaking like another fourth wall, being like, we're on set and we're making this thing.
Yeah.
It almost felt like they were trying to do like a Monty Python-esque moment. And it's like, I wonder if the director thought he was being really fucking smart, because it's not revolutionary anymore to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. A lot of these sketches don't have like an ending or like a true punchline, which I don't think is in and of itself an inherent negative, right? Because you can do that. Monty Python did it a lot. A lot of like great sketch shows that I like. The Kids in the Hall did that.
I don't mind that they do that, because they're literally stopping when it seems like Greg Kinnear is cutting Dennis Quaid off, being like, this is ridiculous, you know? And it goes back to the main sketch.
Yeah. But the way that doing that works is either like you're doing it to push the energy straight into the next sketch rather than going like, we're done, and then doing the next thing, which is honestly how Monty Python would do it a lot. Or it is by ending it before the punchline is formulated in your head. Like that's the Larry Sanders way to do it, right?
Yeah.
This is, they're never doing it like that. It always feels instead like we ran out of the sketch.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know how like with Monty Python, right? They push everything in this really bizarre, surreal way, but you can tell it always comes from a place of intelligence. It's like there's one of my favorite fucking Monty Python sketches is this bit where it's like it comes into like this fake news show and it's like do 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 do, and it's Michael Palin being there and he's just like, hello and welcome to tonight's show. With us we have Raymond Luxury Yacht, and it's just Graham Chapman sitting there with a big fake nose on, being like, that's not how you say my name. And he's like, how do you say it? And he's like, it's Raymond Luxury Yacht. And Michael Palin just goes, this is silly. And it cuts. And like, it's a tiny little segment, but it's funny because they never debase themselves, but they're still very silly.
Yeah.
Whereas this film, it's like, how many times can we include shit and farts and naked women in this? Because that'll be really funny. And it's fine because there were some bits that were genuinely funny.
Yeah.
But the bits that really leaned on, what do they call it? Scatological humor.
Yeah.
Not funny. Well, shit is only so funny.
It's exactly what you just described in that particular sketch. And much like last week, I watched this with my girlfriend. This is what I mean, in that the premises aren't necessarily not funny. It's just they're not funny for like a 4 to 10 minute sketch. They're funny for 6 seconds, right?
Yeah, but it keeps going.
It keeps every time, which my long held theory, it's not my personal theory. I've heard many other comedians talk about it and that has formulated my view. But it's that a good sketch has like the turn in the middle. Like a good sketch has almost 3-act structure, but
There's 3 parts to a sketch. First is the premise.
My favorite part of a sketch is the prestige.
First is the bridge. Second is the turn.
It's not enough
And
to
the
shoot
third,
Greg Kinnear.
You've got to bring him back.
Speaking of which, never was that like more clear than Hugh Jackman has a ball chin, which was The Catch was the name of that sketch.
Look, that first sketch. So yeah, this is the first sketch. Like,
Yes.
do you want to give us the overview of it before we
Yes.
launch into it?
Kate Winslet goes on a blind date with handsome, attractive, noted man Hugh Jackman, who then, as they're charming, they get to the restaurant, so he takes off his scarf, revealing that on his neck is actually a pair of testicles.
And she spends the rest of the sketch trying to bring it up and trying to get him to acknowledge that they're there, and no one wants to talk about it, but he's incredibly charming and popular to everybody else, but she's physically disgusted by it.
Yeah, this felt like something that they did at an SNL table read and then immediately went, I don't know.
This is too stupid, right?
It does exactly what it, like, part of the central joke is always, oh, he has something different about him, and we always want to know why they have something different about them, which is not great.
The annoying thing is you're watching Kate Winslet doing a really funny job
Yeah.
of feeling really awkward and upset about seeing balls on his neck and wanting to bring it up and not knowing how. So her performance is really fucking funny. Like,
Yeah.
they're both doing a really good job.
I agree with that,
But
yeah.
then you remember that it's just balls on his neck, and again, it debases the joke. You're like, oh, yeah, I forgot it's testicles, and it's not as funny anymore.
For me, it being testicles didn't ruin the joke, right? Because at the very least, it's something that's crass, and the central joke could just be she feels like she's going fucking crazy. But instead, what they mostly do with it is do things like, oh, he leans over to pick something up, and he dips his balls in some olive oil, which is gross. Oh, he kisses a baby on the head, so the balls are on his. It's just like, wouldn't it be funny if testicles were on something?
Yeah.
And we were allowed to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just meant to be gross.
But I have to say, like, the end sequence where they're taking that photo of them, and like, I did find Kate Winslet's performance really funny, where
Yeah.
they were just like trying to take a photo of him and her together, and he's like leaning over her with the balls almost touching her head, and she's like, take the photo, and then like he has to like kiss her on the head, and his balls touch her face, and she starts screaming, and that's where they cut it. I was kind of like, that was okay, like that was fine.
I want to be more okay. I don't know. I didn't need like the answer. Although I do think that a better comic writer could have ended on a punchline of him explaining it in some offhand way. Of being like, I was born with it. And like, that's like the most obvious answer is the answer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But so much of it isn't she's going nuts. It is, aren't balls gross?
Yeah.
It's boring choices. I hated it. All right, let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
There's so many to get
Yeah,
through.
there's heaps.
So the next one is called Get a Job, Motherfucker, which is the one with Liev Schreiber, Naomi Watts, and Jeremy Allen White. In this one, Liev Schreiber and Naomi Watts are a couple who are homeschooling their child. They're describing to their new neighbors the way they homeschool their child, with particular emphasis on trying to replicate as close as possible the high school experience, including things like
Bullying him,
hazing him, not like having a party and he's not invited, his mum like sharing his first kiss with him.
his dad trying to share his first kiss with him.
Yeah. When a man does it
Crazy.
to another man. And then it ends with, he seems perfectly normal, actually. Wow. But then he pulls out a weird fake doll of Naomi Watts. Oh, the kid is
punchline
messed
is that
up.
like the neighbors meet the kid and they're like, oh, he's not as fucked up as we thought he'd be because of all this traumatic shit his parents have put him through. But then he brings out a fake doll that looks like his mom and says that it's his girlfriend, and they're like, oh no, and that's just the end of the sketch.
Which just cut before the doll gets brought out, and that is the funnier ending.
I feel like Liev Schreiber was, again, doing a good job. I was really enjoying his performance in it. I think him and Naomi Watts, who are a real life couple, were really fun and charming to watch. But the punchline was so anticlimactic, so not funny. I was really disappointed by that one.
It is once again, like, the key joke is just like parents are bullying this child.
Yeah.
Which like could maybe be funny, but it's always like go immediately to the most extreme example. Work up to it.
Did you ever watch Kate and Leopold?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's a rom-com from the early 2000s with Meg Ryan, Hugh Jackman.
Does she drop a lot of papers and then look into someone's
and
eyes?
Liev Schreiber. And Liev Schreiber is like her housemate that sends her back in time. Oh, sends this guy from the 1890s, Hugh Jackman, forwards into the future to meet her and they fall in love.
I was not expecting that from Meg Ryan rum-gum.
I loved Kate and Leopold. It starts in the 1890s. The Brooklyn Bridge is being built. It's Hugh Jackman in like a great suit.
Yeah.
And Liev Schreiber is there. And he follows Liev Schreiber into this alleyway and they both get transported back to the future because that's where Liev Schreiber's from. And he meets Liev Schreiber's sister, Kate, and like it's about their love story. It's a fucking dumb, bizarre film. But Liev Schreiber as this comic relief character really cemented in my mind as a kid. So I have an unfounded fondness for Liev Schreiber. So because of that, I let this sketch sail through, even though it's terrible.
I always think of him, when I think of him, I always think of X-Men : Origins : Wolverine.
Christ.
Which is that movie should be
Hugh
on this
Jackman.
list. Yeah, also Hugh Jackman.
What the fuck? Why do these two keep coming back in contact with each other?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They make a great pairing though.
They do.
Yeah, it's just like immediately starting with like that, like, you know, there's a bit where he's being strung up outside, like he's being hazed and he has literal shit on his chest. It's like, it's not adding an element of comedy. Also, like him making out with his mom. What I don't want to do in this episode that I can feel myself doing is just go, it's offensive. It's too much. It's just gross and I hate it, right? I don't want to do that.
Because, like, I know that it's offensive and, like, that's the joke. They're just pushing things to their limits. I don't mind it's doing that. I mind that they're not getting away with it because it's not funny enough.
Exactly.
That's why I'm getting annoyed.
What bothers me is they
it's
think
a good joke,
in and of itself
fine.
is funny.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you doing offensive shit doth not a joke make.
Yeah.
But you doing offensive shit and making a good joke, all right.
If we continue, because again, I can feel myself doing it. If we just continue to go, it is offensive and that's why I don't like it, then they win. Because then they go like, I was trying to do that. And it's
I don't
like,
mind
no,
that you're doing weird, dumb bullshit. We know you don't actually mean that mothers should be kissing their sons.
Yeah.
But make it funny. I'm offended that it's not funny.
Which is like always in real life what I want to do when people are being offensive is go like, explain the joke. Because the problem is usually just that like, it's not a joke.
Funny. Exactly. And I love the response of people being like, oh, like when people are like, oh, fuck, take a joke. It's like, I'll take a joke when you make a joke.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't funny.
But there wasn't a huge amount to talk about this one. This one was like a short one. Yeah, we're 3 in.
we got to pick the pace up, man.
No, we don't. This is it. So the next one, The Proposition. This is one of the longer ones. This is the one with Anna Faris, Chris Pratt, and JB Smoove, also known as Jerry Brooks, who I really like in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I don't remember him in that.
Oh, okay.
Continue.
A whole bunch of in this one, Anna Faris essentially saying to Chris Pratt, like, he thinks that she's going to propose or that he's going to propose. And instead she's like, I really want you to take a dump on me. What's the language?
She's like, I want you to poop on me.
I want you to poop on me is specific because it's a particular plot point that she doesn't want him to shit on her because
it's explained to him later.
Yeah.
He's shocked by it, but they have a party to celebrate the fact that he's going to take a shit on he's going to take a poop on her. And then his friend explains to him, hey man, you don't take a shit on the woman that you love, all right? Someone asks you to take a shit on them, that's like kinky, filthy shit. But if she's asking you to poop on her, that's loving. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So instead, he approaches it tenderly. He eats like a million burritos, which is fucking crazy, to the point where he clearly needs to shit at any moment.
He takes laxatives as well.
He's trying to rush it. She's like, no, slow down and be intimate. And then he says, I just need to take a shit on you. She's upset. So she runs out.
And I found this bit genuinely funny.
He runs out and gets hit by a car and explodes in shit, which I can't believe you found, for me, one of the less funny bits.
It wasn't the shit. It was her running out of the house crying.
Okay, that's fair, yeah.
It was stupid and I enjoyed it.
Because she's a genuine comedic talent.
Yeah, exactly. It's just her running out being like, I can't believe you said that, and just running out hysterically of her house.
And so then she goes to comfort him being very injured, and then while surrounded by shit, he proposes and she says yes.
Yeah.
That's that sketch.
It was so dumb, but I have to say in that moment that she was running out of the house, I'm like, yeah, they know how stupid this is, and that's what they're going for, and I don't mind in this moment.
I got so mad at this one, and it's specifically because my girlfriend Brooke turned to me and said, this is a bit you'd do. Pause. See how it's not funny? And I was like, fucking brutal, way funnier than anything in that movie, way funnier than anything I've said all week. Like, incredible line. It's way too funny for me to be mad at it. But
yeah, fair enough.
Because she's right as well. This is a bit that I would do of go like,
do a poop on me.
I want you to poop on me.
I've told you this. I think the word poop is fucking foul. Like the fact that adults say, oh my God, I've really got to go poop. I feel like that's something adults say to children of like, you want to go poop? You want a little poopy? There's something physically repulsive to me about the word poop, and any adults that say it they're just dead to me straight off the bat.
On the same hand, like that's why I think it's fun to drop because it's such a silly word.
So
By
gross.
contrast, I can't explain how different poop versus poo feel.
I think poo is the alpha version of both of these words.
Poo is the Chad.
Poop is you admitting that you're a cuck. All right.
What's that meme? There's one of like the weak little incel boy, and that's poop, and then there's the Chad.
The Chad
man,
is
and that's
poo.
poo.
If you're fucking brave, you say poo. All right. Like a fucking adult.
I just always say shit for everything. I'm like, I really gotta shit.
I'll say poo, but I will not say poop. You'll see me saying poop in my fucking
in hell.
grave. Yeah.
Fucking hell. You'll catch me saying poop in hell. But again, I think this is a funny premise of like, hey, waspy suburban couple are talking about pooping as this like...
Hi.
Exactly.
My daughter, we've been waiting for 30 minutes.
Listen here, Doug. You just have to poop on her, okay? That could be funny, but it's the worst take on this sketch. That's what I fucking hate about it. But it was fun to see Chris Pratt in his clearly trying to position himself as a great candidate for Republican governor of California.
And it was great
Running
to
as
see,
a model, right?
It was just great to see Anna as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Anna.
She, like Kate Winslet, is like, it's hard to not laugh at her lines because she's funny, not because the line is funny.
She's exceptionally funny. Her in Scary Movie was always just fucking sublime.
She easily carries those movies.
For, huh? What are you waiting for?
Wait, is that what that's from?
That's from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Right, that's what I thought. It's because you quoted it a few episodes ago.
She parodies it in Scary Movie.
So the next sketch is called Veronica, Kieran Culkin and Emma Stone in the grocery store.
I've been watching Succession with Claude because I'm showing it to him. So I'm listening to Kieran Culkin's voice all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When the sketch starts, you hear him talking over the PA system at the supermarket. As soon as he starts speaking, I was like, that's Kieran fucking Culkin.
Yeah, same. And it's not just because he does have quite a distinctive voice, I think, but also I've watched Scott Pilgrim enough and he is such a standout in that movie.
I actually really liked the sketch because I thought him and Emma Stone were really funny together.
Same. Brooke really didn't like it. I actually thought it was close to funny.
Tell them what it's about.
Okay, so I mean, it's hard to describe this one. Kieran Culkin is a grocery store clerk, like the kind who's at the microphone and stuff. Then Emma Stone shows up, the eponymous Veronica, and they both start having this like highly angry sexual, psychosexual back and forth argument.
Over the PA system. Everyone can hear them.
Part of the joke is that they're both talking right there so everyone can hear it. Eventually, it goes afoul for Kieran Culkin's character and she leaves. And then everyone in the grocery store, basically like having heard all of these crazy things they're saying over the PA system, is like, we're on your side. We'll cover your shit. Like,
you can't let her go.
And then he runs off to go get her. This is easily one of the better sketches.
I think so too. I really enjoyed the chemistry between the two of them.
Yes.
Like, and I don't mean sexual. I mean like comedic chemistry between the two of them. Both of them individually are so fucking funny. Watching them just bounce back and forth and clearly improvise certain bits was stunning.
It does one of my favorite comedic things, which is two characters trading overly verbose insults. Like it is like the
Kevin, Veronica, Kevin, Veronica, Kevin, Veronica.
Both of them maintain such heady eye contact as well.
Yeah.
Like it's great. I kind of thought this one was fun.
Kieran Culkin, watching him in Succession, is such a weird little man. Like he's a weird looking little man.
I've seen, honestly, a couple of friends of mine say he is transmask coded, and I totally agree. Just in the particulars about like, he's short, he doesn't know how to use a urinal, like he's figuring it out. There's a lot of the particulars of Kieran Culkin.
He doesn't know how to use his urinal? What?
Well, I mean, if you have had a vagina your whole life, you potentially don't know how to use it.
Kieran Culkin doesn't know how to use a
I don't know, I saw a fucking scene in Succession where he's like, doesn't know how to use a urinal or something.
What?
I don't watch it.
What the fuck?
I'm sharing
I don't think that's a
memes.
storyline in Succession where he doesn't know how to use a urinal.
It's one scene.
I don't think there's any scene that he doesn't know how to use a urinal.
We'll find the
there's
urinal
scene where he jacks off into a window.
That is not. I didn't confuse him making a joke about a urinal with him jacking off into a window.
We'll address this later.
Confuse these things.
Okay, what's the next one?
Okay, next one. This one is like split, so it's not the next one in its entirety, but it is the next one that begins, which is I, Babe, which has Richard Gere, Kate Bosworth, Jack McBrayer, and Asif Manfi. Premise is we see an ad for the I, Babe. Clever. Like, this is a joke from fucking 2006. They're all dancing like in the style of iPod ads circa mid-2000s.
I think you mean 2005 with the Fratellis song.
Yes.
Down, 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 down. Well, na, 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 na.
Yeah.
I go on if you
Like,
want me to.
specifically not
and
like
if
the
I want
colourful
you,
jet
tell me in.
ones,
You can go
the
back
later
and
one.
da, da, da. It's always a da, 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 da.
Yeah.
You know, I
No, yeah, we get, yeah. I don't even know if we're halfway yet. We gotta keep going. We gotta keep. Abigail,
iPod.
focus together.
Okay.
I, Babe. It's doing that ad, but instead the music player is just a full real doll woman.
Naked real doll woman.
Completely nude, but she is a music player. So we see that ad, plays the next sketch, and then we come back to it, and it's a corporate board meeting where Richard Gere is playing, I assume, like the CEO of the company, is discovering in particular that a lot of their young male buyership, what's the word I'm thinking of? Customers. A lot of their young male customers are getting injured because because there is an exhaust fan in the iBabe placed in the genital region, and they keep trying to finger or fuck the iBabe. And the rest of the scene is really just Richard Gere and Asif Manvi not understanding why anyone would want to fuck it, while Kate Bosworth goes, "You made a really weird sexist human woman and they're teenage boys."
And
What are
that's
you
kind
talking
of the
about?
whole sketch.
That's
It's
kinda
not
it.
great.
Yeah, it's really not great.
What's the next one?
It's, well, no, because it's not great. I really don't like it. It is one of the examples of what this whole thing does, which is ritually humiliate women whilst trying to have at least one woman go, I don't like this, as if to like pump up its feminist credentials, and it doesn't fucking work.
And it does the same thing as we said earlier, where it just takes a joke that could be funny for 6 seconds and keeps going with it for 3 minutes. And you're like, I get it. No one else gets it, but she gets that. It's weird. Let's move on.
Yeah, and it just fucking... What quack in 2013 was making, like, iPod jokes?
True.
Like, by that point, they'd stopped using the I branding, right? Like, come on. Get with the times, old man. Your time is done. Stop writing fucking movies. Imagine if in 2021 I made a joke about fucking iPods.
They still exist. They just no one uses them. You know,
Sure.
JB Hi-Fi still sell iPod Touches.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing the existence of iPods. I'm criticizing like the joke that all of their products are named I, which is not true and hasn't been for quite some time.
Yeah.
There's the phone part of the Mac with I, but most things are Apple this, Apple that.
Yeah.
You know?
Very true.
Okay, so the next one was Superhero Speed Dating, which is one of the biggest sketches. It had Justin Long, Jason Sudeikis, Uma Thurman, Bobby Cannavale, Kristen Bell, John Hodgman, and Leslie Bibb.
It had a lot of people in there.
A lot of people in it. When I saw Uma Thurman, my first thought was, I miss Uma Thurman.
Yeah, I do too.
She was in just like a handful of movies that I watched so obsessively as a kid. I miss her on-screen presence. She's really great.
Yeah. I mean, now we have Maya Hawke, so...
Yeah, honestly, sometimes I will watch a Maya Hawke thing because I miss Uma Thurman.
Nice.
And she has a similar energy, but it feels a little queerer.
Nice.
And I like that. Also, Jason Sudeikis pre-glow up.
See, I have to say, like, this sketch was fine, but I think for me it was tainted by how much I
don't think it
hate
was fine.
Jason Sudeikis.
You hate Jason
I
Sudeikis?
hate Jason Sudeikis.
I hate this era of Jason Sudeikis, but I think he is a funny guy.
I don't think he's a funny guy. All right?
Brutal.
I think he's a fucking idiot. I think he's...
Whoa. Coming down hard.
Don't even fucking start me.
Jesus.
No, I've really never enjoyed anything he's done. Anything he's ever been in.
He was
I
in
mean that.
Booksmart.
Who did he play in Booksmart again?
He's the principal.
Yeah, really can't remember him. Hey.
Yeah, the Uber.
No.
What?
Not good. Didn't like him.
Okay.
If I liked him, I'd remember. So clearly I don't.
Sure, yeah.
No.
He's had a turnaround like post SNL.
Didn't even like him in 30 Rock.
as he
Tina
grew out
Fey's
the
writing
beard.
couldn't even save him.
I
Like,
thought he was good in those
No.
episodes of 30 Rock.
No.
I thought he was
No.
Okay.
No.
Justin Long proving why he's been on this list so consistently.
Kristen Bell doing a really subpar performance.
It shocked me that she's not been on this list.
I know.
I like her, but
I like
she's
her.
not known for her discerning film
I think
roles.
like the Wonder Woman lady that came in.
Leslie Bibb.
Was not great either.
No.
Like, I'm Wonder Woman.
Seeing John Hodgman without a moustache really upset me. Like,
yeah, that was
physically
really
upset
odd.
me.
I did love Bobby Cannavale as Superman. That was good.
I was so convinced that he'd been on this before, but that's just because we brought him up in the Paul Blart episode because he's in Paul Blart 1.
He's like, Bobby Cannavale should have been born 80 years prior, and I wouldn't be able to tell. Like, he's like so of like an old era. I love his voice. I think he's really funny.
He is funny.
He's the opposite to Jason Sudeikis for me.
He's a great
My
example.
spectrum is Bobby Cannavale and Jason Sudeikis. Never the twain shall meet.
What? That's your spectrum of human men?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Claude is a real Bobby Cannavale for me. Love him to bits.
Oh, so it's not a spectrum. They're categories.
Well, the spectrum is 2.
Are you a Cannavale or a Sudeikis? No, two isn't a spectrum.
It's 2.
That's a binary. That's 2
Fuck, who's my middle guy?
Hang on. When we say like gender is a spectrum, are you still just thinking in binaries?
Yeah, there's 2 genders.
Rating Descending was cancelled later that day.
Michelle has withdrawn from Waiting Descending.
Man, that's a real Sudeikis move, Abby.
No, I'm not the Sudeikis of this pairing.
Cannavale knows that gender is much more complex and multifaceted.
If you're the Bobby and I'm the Jason, I'll kill myself.
We don't have to be...
It's binary, Michelle.
We can both be the same category. We've done this. All right, the next sketch, no, I will say about superhero speed dating, impossible to focus on.
Yeah.
It is an optical illusion.
That was when my
hated it.
engagement really waned. I was like, when is this over?
It couldn't hold a fraction of my attention. It was so aggressively unfunny. The next one was Machine Kids, which starred no one. I couldn't find who did the VO, and it was directed and written by Jonathan Van Tuliken. Maybe he did the VO. It was the one that was just like a PSA style ad thing with black and white footage of kids and machines.
Yeah, we can gloss over that. That was bullshit.
It's just like...
It wasn't funny.
This is there so it can meet 90 minutes.
Yeah,
that's the vibe.
it was just filler.
The next one was Middle School Date. So this is the one directed by Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah.
And starring Christopher Mintz plus Chloe Grace Moretz, Jimmy Bennett, Patrick Warburton, and Matt Walsh.
For me, it had the same effect of can't concentrate until Patrick Warburton came in, and I was like, yeah.
I definitely could concentrate because I feel conflicted about this one. So in this one, Chloe Grace Moretz is over at clearly her like middle school date, right? But then she gets her period, and it becomes very obvious to both the person that she's with and his older brother,
played by McLovin from fucking Superbad,
Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
Yeah,
who then react very poorly and misunderstand kind of how a period works. And then Patrick Warburton, the dad, shows up and is equally weird about it, and then Matt Walsh shows up and is confused by it.
Yeah.
And I guess the joke, I appreciate that the guys didn't go, ew, a period. Like, that wasn't the joke. The joke was, oh my God, you're bleeding. What do we do? And like the little kid is even like, how can you even get home in this condition? I'm like, this is exactly how teenage boys do misunderstand functionally what a period is.
Yeah.
And I thought that was neat, even if the sketch itself is very bad.
At least it was by Elizabeth Banks. Like, a woman handled it, I guess.
It is a step further than it needed to be to sell the joke. Because you get the same effect from she sits down and there's a bit of blood there or something. I don't know.
I mean, it's very in tone with the rest of it. They're just doing things for shock value. If we're saying we're not going to get offended by this thing,
yeah,
you can't choose this to hang your cloak up on, you know?
It bothers me that the take of the sketch is guys don't understand periods. And it's written by a woman and directed by a woman. But the way that manifests in the sketch feels like they don't understand periods.
Yeah.
That's why it bothers me.
It almost seems like a waste of time to try and delve into what they're trying to politically say with this, because it's all nonsense.
Oh, that's definitely not what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. I just think that, like, it was a silly sketch about periods where blood was involved, and then Patrick Warburton comes in and makes it really fucking blokey.
Yeah.
And then she goes home and they're all just like, vaginas are so weird. Let's watch the game. And it's like hyper masculine. And that's the joke.
And then there was the ad afterwards where like a shark eats a human woman and there's
they're
blood
like
everywhere.
Tampax. Yeah. And I was like, that's a pretty effective ad. I'd wear the better tampon in the water.
We're watching it and my girlfriend, as soon as the ad started, was like, oh, and then it's going to be an ad for tampons. And then when it came up, I was like, you fucking nailed it. She was on fire last night. It was crazy.
Nice. Good on you, Brooke.
We're getting through it. Mm-hmm. There's still 5 more.
Fucking hell. Let's do it.
Okay. The next one was Happy Birthday. This is the one with Gerard Butler, Johnny Knoxville, and Sean William Scott. Johnny Knoxville
Gerard Butler was the little Irishman.
was the little leprechaun, yes.
Fuck off.
Fun piece of trivia, Colin Farrell was meant to be the other leprechaun that appears, but dropped out, and so Gerard played both.
Oh my God.
Also, the shock, the sheer moment of disbelief as I realized Gerard Butler hadn't appeared on this list before was unbelievable. That man
Butler's not that bad, is he?
He is in so much rubbish that is so aggressively
but
bad.
he's Irish.
No, he's not.
He's Scottish.
That's closer. Yeah, he's Scottish.
Closer. He is Scottish.
Sure, but you got it wrong first. Don't fucking come at me.
Saying you're closer when I've got it.
I knew the fucking... You don't
Michelle
win.
can't celebrate my victories. All she does is criticize me.
Gerard
for
Butler's
my
in a lot of bad movies, and I'm pretty sure we do cover Gamer later.
Fair. I couldn't actually pay attention to the sketch either, to be honest.
It sounds like you couldn't pay attention to 5 sketches in a row.
Yeah, because they were all terrible. Like the middle of the film for me really flagged. I was like,
whole of I don't think any part of this film felt like a notable dip from the rest of it.
I think this sketch was ridiculous, but all the scenes of them beating each other up, I was struggling to pay attention to.
What got me about this is it was close. So quickly, the premise: Johnny Knoxville is surprising his friend Sean William Scott with what seems like a surprise gift or something, and then there is a leprechaun tied up in his basement. He then immediately starts like physically and violently interrogating him to try and get his pot of gold. And Gerard Butler, playing the leprechaun, resists. They then pull in a pot of gold that has been delivered, and out bursts another leprechaun. The leprechaun tries to kill him, but Johnny Knoxville shoots both of them. And then upstairs is actually also a fairy. And they're like, what are we going to do with a fairy? And then she says, I suck cock for gold coins. That's why he wanted the leprechaun, is to have a beautiful woman suck his penis.
Cock.
Clever, clever, clever.
I didn't realize it was Johnny Knoxville when I was watching it. I was like, why is this guy so familiar? And I couldn't put my finger on it.
Johnny Knoxville. Someone I want to like more, and I think it's just because I think the name Johnny Knoxville is kind of cool.
It is pretty cool. Me and Claude have this running joke where we're making this show called Silks, and it's about like 5 top tier fucking barristers going for a promotion, and like 5 top tier judges going for a promotion, because when you become a certain order of judge, instead of wearing the normal robes, you get silk robes, so you get promoted into silks. So our show is called Silks, and it's like a really ridiculous show. It's like Brenda Bryson and Bill Bryson. They're both like divorcees that are going for the role, and then there's an older woman and a man with Alzheimer's, and like it's just, and then our young character, his name is Dan Knox. And he's just like,
it sounds like it's
private schoolboy.
It sounds like getting made and getting your silks is pretty similar.
Getting made?
Yeah, like in the mafia, you're getting made. You're a made man.
You get your silks. Going into Silks.
Or if you're a trans man and you're a made man.
Guys, watch Silks, coming to TVs this September.
Whoa.
Next September.
What? No, I mean like, whoa, that's really soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've said this multiple times, but this is my favorite example of the whole thing that I complain about, because he comes in, then is like, there's a leprechaun, and you're like, whoa, okay. And then he starts interrogating him like violently and aggressively, and you're like, this is terrible. At the same time, you're like, okay, sure. And then Sean William Scott pulls him back and is like, hey, you gotta stop, we can't do this. And he like leans in close to the leprechaun and is like, hey, I'm sorry about that, you know? And what I thought was gonna happen is he then goes like, don't worry about it, we're not gonna hurt you or anything. You just gotta tell us where the gold is. And like, they end up doing like a good cop, bad cop thing, but they're interrogating this leprechaun. And I thought that would be really fucking funny. And instead what it is he's like, I'm not going to hurt you. And then the leprechaun is like, but I'm going to hurt you. And then like headbutts him. And then it's just more violence.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. I think that's
boring.
honestly when I was tapping out. It was just more violence.
It's like the more boring take. That's why I don't like this movie. Every sketch is like the first third of it, you're like, oh, and then they just choose the less interesting, less funny thing to do. Yeah. Tell a fucking joke. Movie 43. All right, do you want me to get into the next one?
Yeah, let's do it. We've got, oh my God. How much trivia do you have after all of these?
A bit.
My guy.
Yeah, this is our second recording, and this is a marathon for us.
Yeah, I'm fucking tired.
Okay, so the next one is Truth or Dare, the one with Halle Berry, Stephen Merchant, and a brief appearance by Snooki.
I really liked this one.
Yeah, this one wasn't
really
too bad until the end, where it goes full yellow face and is.
It does, but like that's what I mean. Like we can't, like, this film is aimed to get offensive. We can't be like, it's offensive. Of course it is.
But I feel like I can also say like that's a particular crossed
They
line.
even say that though, like, fuck no, we're not doing that. It's got like it's offensive to Asians. Like that's literally what they say outside of the sketch.
But it's the same energy as when like a bully hits you and then goes, "I'm joking."
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't count.
It's just, again, we could spend a long time talking about why this thing is problematic.
I'm
It's
not.
almost...
No, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say like that is one particular line crossed,
Yeah.
right? In a thing that is mostly pushing, that's a line crossed.
So Stephen Merchant and Halle Berry go on this date together, and Halle Berry's like, "Look, I've gotten a lot of dates. Let's make this interesting." And they start playing a game of truth or dare.
Abby,
And
are you hijacking the episode? You're just fucking.
Let me contribute.
Okay.
And it just fucking spirals out of control. They start one-upping each other on their dares, and it gets wilder and wilder. Like, by the end of the night, Halle Berry has got full Botox and huge titties, and Stephen Merchant has had plastic surgery to look like an Asian man.
In a real, like,
with a dick
50s
tattooed on his face.
Caricature of an Asian man.
Yeah, it's highly fucked up.
It's really
But the sketch, and Snooki was in it for a second, to Stephen Merchant.
Reading Moby Dick to Stephen Merchant.
Which I actually liked as a touch.
I think that's a fun joke.
I thought it was a fun little sketch. I was like, it pulled me back in. I was like losing attention with the leprechaun one, and then this pulled me right back in.
I think there were parts of it that were funny, and there was a lot of it where it was just, again, like a missed joke. Like her getting dared to blow out the birthday candles of this blind kid's cake before he can, and then he wouldn't know. It's a lot. But I think there's a way to do that, and it is funny, and it's like such like a wet fart of a moment when it happens, and you're like, that's not funny.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
Yeah.
I feel like this sketch had a lot of that, where you're like, oh, and then you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like the end punchline is that like after that, he leans in to kiss her at the end of the date, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm not really into Asian dudes," and goes into a hotel, and then she's like, "Psych," and then they end up fucking.
Yeah. Hardcore. Okay. Let's go into the next one.
Let's do it.
This is probably the one we can do the shortest on. It's Victory's Glory with Terrence Howard, Jay Ellis, Aaron Jennings, and Eric Stewart. This is the one where it's like old-timey... where Terrence Howard is the coach of a basketball team in, I think, the 50s. They're all black, and the premise of the sketch is the other team is all white. The team is very nervous about going up against a very respected basketball team, but Terrence Howard says, "But you guys are black," about 50 times, and then the sketch ends.
If we're talking about wet farts, and this was the wettest fart of them all.
Yeah. I will say, it does feel like the kind of sketch that someone who tried to invent their own mathematics would find funny.
What?
But Terrence Howard tried to, like, invent his own math to prove that, like, 2 divided by 2 isn't a number or something. He called it, like, Terrenceology. It's crazy. It's craziness.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Terryology. Here it is. And that's his logic language would be used to prove his contention that 1 times 1 equals 2. Here's a quote from him, and then we'll move on to the next sketch. "How can it equal 1? He said." It's already wrong. Okay. How can it equal 1? If 1 times 1 equals 1, that means that 2 is of no value, because 1 times itself has no effect. 1 times 1 equals 2 because the square root of 4 is 2. So what's the square root of 2? Should be 1. But we're told it's 2. That cannot be.
Oh, Terrence.
So he's misunderstood a lot of basic math and then tries desperately to come back from it. I'll leave it there. The next one is one of the ones that we're talking about more, which is Beazle. Written, directed by James Gunn.
Beazle's the last one, right?
Yeah, happens mid-credits.
Beazle was also my favorite.
Okay,
you
Beazle was
messaged me
great.
saying that the one in the middle of the credits was the best one. You're right.
Yeah,
because it was actually, it made me laugh.
I know sometimes you so rapidly turn off the movie, and I was
Thank you.
I was basically trying to make sure you watch it.
Of course I do. I was like, I get to credits and I'm like, oh thank God, and I close my laptop. I'm like, I'm reclaiming my time, and I just close it.
I think you're going to genuinely appreciate watching Beazle.
Oh, Beazle was fantastic. It was amazing. I loved the animated cat. Beazle is like his evil little fucking cat.
Josh Duhamel and Elizabeth Banks are like a waspy white middle-class couple, but Josh Duhamel has an animated cat named Beazle, cutesy little cat, who Elizabeth Banks doesn't quite get along with. She then quickly finds out it's because Beazle is actually kind of in love with Josh Duhamel. She then tries to get Beazle kicked out, but Josh says no. Beazle then tries to completely murder and kill Elizabeth Banks, who manages to, in turn, turn it around and starts attacking Beazle instead. but she is watched upon by both Josh and an entire like children's party who are horrified at her beating up this cat. So in return, they kill her as Beazle is reunited with Josh.
I will say, Josh does agree to get rid of Beazle. That's why Beazle tries to kill her.
That's right.
And that she catches Beazle having a wank over pictures of Josh, is really horrified by it, runs out of the house. Beazle catches up to her, sprays her.
Yeah.
And then she tells Josh, like, you either have to leave the cat or I'm leaving you.
Yeah.
So he decides to give the cat to his mum.
You're right.
Beazle goes rogue and then tries to kill Elizabeth Banks.
By running her over and then getting out of the truck and then pulls out a shotgun, which has like little paw print marks on it.
And I gotta say also, there's the scene prior where Beazle is crying in the cupboard because Beazle's about to be taken to Josh's mum. Like, Beazle feels rejected.
Yeah.
And is also like putting a fucking brush up its ass, like masturbating still. It's like crying and like fucking its own asshole with this like little brush.
Yeah.
It's so graphic and so silly.
It felt like Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
But as if Ren and Stimpy are the only animated characters. It was fun.
It was like
good.
really violent, really bizarre, of like this little fucking animated cat wanking to like photos of Josh.
Yeah.
Like, I loved it though. It was so stupid.
I think her getting sprayed is like a bit too much of like, it's funny because it's gross.
Yeah. But in the
rest
final
of it,
scene
it's great.
of her getting run over by Beazle and she starts crawling down the road.
Yeah.
And like
While he has
Beazle's
a
like got the shotgun behind her. That bit was fucking
Starts
excellent.
trying to smash him with a shovel, and then all the kids look at her horrified.
I loved it.
Beazle was great.
Yeah, Beazle was good.
Before we pivot out of this,
We made it, by the way.
we haven't quite made it, is what I'm gonna say. I want to quickly
the
mention
UK one.
Yeah, so there was. I'll quickly touch on. There was 2 deleted sketches. One was called "Find Our Daughter," which was apparently written and directed by Bob Odenkirk and had Julianne Moore and Tony Shalhoub.
Wow, that's a good cast.
Yeah, that was cut and wasn't like restored or anything. And then there was another one called "The Apprentice," which starred Anton Yelchin. That sketch was in a test screening, but because it's about him being a mortician who's also a necrophiliac, audiences didn't like that one.
Yeah, fair.
So that got cut. I can't imagine what a sketch that was too much, singled out as too much.
It's good
in
to
this
know that
movie.
necrophilia is worse than yellowface. You know what I mean? Like in the hierarchy of what things can tolerate, what things people can tolerate. Necrophilia is worse than yellowface.
I
Put
feel
me
like
on
comfortable
record.
with the territory we're diving in.
I'm just saying, this is what the audience is ranked.
Okay, but yeah, this is
That's not what I'm saying.
what the American man says.
Yeah, this is what fucking test
This is not
audiences
our-
have said.
This is officially not endorsed by Ready to.
I'm not saying personally I think yellowface is better than necrophilia.
You're saying OJ did it, and you know.
Let's move. Yeah.
Okay, so outside of the US, primarily in the UK, the framing story was different. This is the one that has Mark L. Young, Adam Cagley, Devon Eash, Fisher Stevens, and Beth Littleford. It was called The Thread, and it was instead closer to what the original premise for the framing device was, which is 2 teenage boys and one of them's younger brother. They try and prank the younger brother by like making up a movie called Movie 43 so that they can like download a bunch of shitty things onto his laptop to break his computer, but stumble upon Russian and Chinese gangs looking for Movie 43, a fabled movie that will break the world or whatever.
Wow. Okay.
And then they do break the world. Also, there's a side story about one of the teenage boys starts masturbating in the bathroom to a bunch of pornography, and then later finds out that that was his mother, and then gets driven crazy by it.
Right.
And then in this post-apocalyptic world, he's offered the opportunity to try and save it, but it is for naught because it doesn't do anything. So instead, he watches more of the sketches and laughs. It makes the UK version longer, and it is fucking intolerable. Everyone is on their worst performance. It
Shit.
feels so slow and jarring and badly written.
I was happy with the Greg Kinnear one.
The version I had initially sent you was the UK one, and I had watched like one scene of the US one and then had to change over to my one for a technical reason. And I was like, this is fucking intolerable. So afterwards, I watched the US one, and I was like, if Abby hasn't already, I got to insist that she watches this one so you won't want to walk
You're really
into the
looking
ocean.
out for me. You're my guardian angel.
Yeah, I'm trying my best. I was like, I want you to watch the best version of Movie 43. But I will say, it really sucks. Do you want to hear some trivia?
Yes, I fucking do.
We did it!
Oh my god.
The key producer of it, Wessler, I forgot his first name, initially recruited 3 pairs of directors, Peter and Bobby Farrelly, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and David and Jerry Zucker, to write on and direct 1/3 of the project each. But the Zucker brothers and Parker and Stone dropped out for disliking the script.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
For the Zucker brothers to drop out because your script is too bad really signals something.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Relativity Media was the production company of this. Relativity did little to promote the film, and none of the cast members did any promotion of the film either. This film was not screened for critics in advance. The film was ultimately considered as one of the worst movies ever made. Kate Winslet reportedly wanted to do a segment that showcased an ear on her back.
Oh.
Yeah, one thing that I didn't add into the trivia but was an overall piece of like production history is they actually got Hugh Jackman first because the producer Wessler met him at a wedding and got him to agree to do it, and then managed to like pierce through Kate Winslet's agents to get to her. And the thing is, she does have like an odd sense of humor. Like, I really like her.
I like her too.
They filmed that sketch in like 2 days and then basically used that as a reel to get the other actors on board by going like, hey, this is a real movie. We've already got Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman.
Fuck.
It also
That
took
makes sense.
4 years to film because they would essentially like repeatedly wait for the actors. They waited 2
Holy
years for Richard
shit.
Gere, for example.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I can't remember what the actual line is, but there's a particular line in the Beazle theme song that was originally the title, but the producers objected to it. James Gunn found it so amusing that the producers would object to the title of the song he wrote for Beazle, even though it remains in the lyrics, that he wrote a series of sardonic emails to the music department claiming the song being titled That Gay Fucking Cat was essential to the piece's artistic integrity and offering a paltry sum of cash in exchange for keeping it. When the music department was not amused, Gunn and composer Tyler Bates then submitted a list of highly offensive and utterly nonsensical replacement titles. The song was finally given the title The Cat Song.
Oh, I wish it was That Gay Fucking Cat.
I think that's really funny, to be honest.
I can't wait to call Cassie that when I get home.
And I really like this piece of trivia to end on. The cast features 6 Oscar winners and 6 Oscar nominees.
Wow. I love that the one that got cut had like Julianne Moore and fucking Tony Shalhoub. Yeah.
Written and directed by Bob Odenkirk.
Fucking hell. Too much talent.
Do you want to hear some reviews?
I do.
Reviews! So this has 4% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking low.
But
Not
only
0.
Only 4.3 on IMDb. Hey, guys, at home,
Pull your finger out.
What?
Pull your fucking finger out. That's what I'm saying to the people at home.
Why, though?
Because that is too fucking high a rating for this film.
Yeah, I agree it's too high. I just didn't understand. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Michelle got really thrown by that. She's never pulled a finger out in her life.
Try again.
Pull your fucking finger out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times said, Movie 43 is the Citizen Kane of awful.
Nice.
And Elizabeth Weitzman of New York Daily News said, as a film critic, I've seen nearly 4,000 movies over the last 15 years. Right now, I can't think of one worse than Movie 43. Wow.
That's pretty big.
Here's one on IMDb. I will also say just really quickly, a lot of the 10 out of 10 reviews follow the theme of fucking SJWs think this is offensive, but they're just not getting it, and I hate that shit.
Yeah.
First one is titled Watch with the Boys, written by Alex Henderson 11711. Don't make it a family night movie. Don't make it a date night movie. Make it a night with the guys kind of movie.
Nice.
10 out of 10. This one is Gotcha Suckers to Everyone They Got Involved by Isaac the... It is to pull that big of a middle off to Hollywood deserves a 10. And in that vein, I believe it was hilarious. 10 out of 10. Isaac the has a history of dropping words.
Isaac has an identity issue. They're having a crisis.
This one's titled Movie 43 by Hot Wheeled. Yes, I give this movie a 10 out of 10. Why? Because I am a movie lover, and this movie is totally awesome, stupid, trashing, smashing, gross, ridiculous, makes no sense at all. Sometimes you just need a little bullcrap to watch. 10 out of 10.
Was little bullcrap in quotes?
It was like capitalized as if it was
right.
the title of something.
Little bullcrap. 10 out of 10.
If you liked Team America, American Carol, and Django, then yay. By William Dorval. Come on now. This movie is in the same genius as Mars Attacks, Zombieland, The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra, American Carol, and Tropic Thunder. It is fun, well scripted, and has amazing stars in it. Those who panned the movie would pan the above I mentioned. Haven't laughed so hard or scratched my head wondering how much more crazy it could get. Nothing is taboo. Bravo to all the great known stars who took a role in it. Not all movies are about huge paychecks for the stars or huge percentages of gross. These stars understand that movies are to entertain. You do not need green screens and $1 billion of CGA to be worth watching. What bothers me are the people who watch every movie as if it is supposed to be an Academy Award winner. The Evil Dead trilogy, Army of Darkness, wins hands down in creativity over the boring and endless Lord of the Rings. I mean, throw the darn ring into the lava already. It is great to watch a film that says what we think and brings out our lost child. I hope there is a sequel. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
You don't need $1 billion of CGA. What was your review?
Fuck, I don't even know how I could possibly review all of these things together. It's of such a wavering quality. I've genuinely found some parts of it funny, and then other parts of it fucking a travesty. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
I, on the one hand, do want to reward Beazle, if anything.
Beazle was great. Beazle is like a full 2.5 of my score.
But on the other hand, this is a movie that is fundamentally less than the sum of its parts and drove me absolutely insane while I was up until the early hours of the morning trying to figure out how the fuck to do the ungodly amount of notes for this episode. So I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10. I really didn't like this experience, and I don't think it's a movie. I
guess
hate
it's
it.
Tainted for you because you had to do all this fucking work.
And I watched the UK one first as well, and that would have really...
Whereas for me, I was like, ha, this is fun. Bye.
I saved you. I'm like someone who's like pushing you up onto the boats and then I drown.
No.
Save yourself.
Michelle.
This is me listing out all the stars of the movie over and over in hell.
Yeah, when you get to hell, all the cast members from movie 43 are already there waiting for you.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, it does that.
It does that? Wait.
It be like that.
It do be like that.
It do be like that.
Well, that finally in our marathon.
That was our 10-hour episode just for you.
That was movie 43. Please, I beg of you, after all of that, follow us on social media to join us. You can talk to us. We'll communicate back to you. You can find us on Twitter at RateDescendPod, on TikTok at RatingDescending, or you can email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com. I love reading the emails. I will read them out if you so wish. I will do things if you so wish. I love communicating with the people who enjoy what we're doing here.
And I can't read. You can find me on Instagram under Abigail J. Ward.
Or you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Michelle.St.
And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really makes a difference, but I can't read it anyway.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, that was movie 43. What are we watching next week?
Next week, we'll be watching Cats and Dogs, Revenge of Kitty Galore.
What a fucking whiplash from movie 43.
I'm on the streak of fucking family rom-com.
Cats and Dogs 1 is a childhood treasure.
I love Cats and Dogs 1. I will rewatch it for this sequel.
And who is this mysterious Kittrelled Galore?
Kitty Galore.
Who is this? I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, you better fucking join us next week, suckers.
And you know what? Why don't you, for next episode, sit down and watch it with your dogs.
Yeah.
Watch it with the dogs. Hashtag Team Cat or
Team Dogs.
Dogs.
Team Cat.